And welcome back to Stanny Boy Reviews. I'm your host, Stanley. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out my channel and to talk about your favorite horror films and my favorite horror films. Last week, we switched things up and we welcomed back to the show Denise Richards. We talked about all things motherhood, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and OnlyFans. But this week, we are going back to the norm and we are talking about horror movies. And we're going to talk about the new Blumhouse thriller, The Black Phone, starring Ethan Hawke as a child predator and a slew of kids who actually know how to act. So grab your masks, grab your black balloons, have a seat, I'm gonna have a seat, and let's go to the bottom of this basement, baby! So let's start at the beginning. The Black Phone is based on a short story written by Joe Hill way back in 2004, and the name might sound familiar. And that's because he is no stranger to horror. Not only is he responsible for novels like Heart-Shaped Box and The Fireman, some of his novels have even been turned into cinematic feats like TV shows such as Nosferatu, starring Zachary Quinto, and Horns, starring Daniel Radcliffe and Juno Temple. But he's also the son of horror maestro himself, Stephen King, aka one of my top 5 favorite authors of all time. So it was only a matter of time before one of his more popular short stories was brought to the silver screen, bringing us to pandemic times, when The Black Phone was put into production, with filming taking place between February of 2021 and wrapping in March of 2021. The director, Scott Derrickson, was originally slated to direct the sequel to Doctor Strange, having already directed the first movie, but dropped out due to creative differences. And The Black Phone was scheduled for a January 2022 release, but it was then pushed to April and then pushed to the summer. Filmed on a budget of 16 to 18 million, and since its opening has raked in a mind-blowing $100 million. Not surprising, considering this movie is actually pretty good, especially for a Blumhouse movie. That being said, let's just get into it. Directed by Scott Derrickson, known for movies such as Hellraiser 5, Inferno, and Sinister, and The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and written by himself and longtime collaborator C. Robert Cargill, The Black Phone is set in 1978 and is about a pair of siblings, brother Finney and sister Gwen, who live with their abusive father in the wake of their mother's tragic suicide. Finney is bullied on the regular at school, and Gwen is subject to psychic dreams, much like her mother. These dreams consist usually of all the boys that have gone missing over the previous months in their otherwise quiet midwestern town. Not much is known about this assailant, who they have dubbed as the Grabber, outside of the fact that he drives a black van, and after he has kidnapped these boys, there are black balloons left behind at the scene. And he's untraceable. Now, it doesn't take long before Finn himself is abducted by the Grabber, and Finn is thrown into a creepy-ass, soundproof basement with nothing but a mattress and a black phone that hangs on the wall that is disconnected, and that's it. On the outside world, the police are trying to find Finney with the help of Gwen and her psychic dreams. Soon enough, in this basement, the disconnected black phone rings. And that's when things get pretty weird and pretty terrifying, to say the least. What do you know, guys? Blumhouse has given us a well-crafted and pretty spooky little horror movie. I'm not usually the biggest fan of their movies. I don't think I'm alone in this doghouse when I say that most of their films are pretty hit or miss. I liked Halloween. I didn't love Halloween Kills. I liked Torn Hearts. You know, it just really depends. But The Black Phone certainly hit me in a few spots that I didn't expect it to. And I have to attribute a lot of that to the young cast and their performances. Something I can't usually say. Damn, dude, these kids can act. The little girl who plays Gwen, Madeline McGraw, tore me to pieces. She really sold me. There's a scene between her and her alcoholic father, played by Jeremy Davies from Twister. He also played Charles Manson once. And I won't say what's happening in this scene, but it nearly brought me to tears. It kind of set the tone for her character, her relationship with her father, and it really struck a chord with me that I didn't really expect from this type of film. And she's funny to boot. And Mason Thames, I think it's Thames, who plays Finn, did tremendous with the character that he was given. Well done. This movie is his movie. And I can't imagine how hard that must be to be this young and to have to act in a movie that's this heavy and to have to make it work. But this kid did it, and he did it with flying colors, and bravo to the young cast. I walked out of this movie feeling proud of them, which was a weird feeling. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but Tom Savini, the great special effects master, is the one behind the mask that Ethan Hawke wears in this film. And yowza, man, this mask is scary. I really feel like this is going to be a Halloween fixture for years to come, and it definitely did the trick, and it really stayed with me after the movie was over. And for a movie that didn't have very many special effects or very many gore gags, I think it really relied on this mask. I think it was really important for the mask to be just right. And the way that Ethan Hawke wore it. Now, before I get into my complaints, because I do have a couple, I will say that Ethan Hawke blew me away. We don't usually see Ethan Hawke as a villain.
Would you like to see a magic trick?
Yeah.
Ever. So to see Ethan Hawke as a bad guy was kind of refreshing and stimulating and off-putting and weird, and just watching him as the grabber was quite the treat. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He really went for it.
The creepiest damn thing.
This might be a spoiler, so if you haven't seen the movie, press pause now. There's a scene where little Finn tries to escape, but then he decides to retract the idea. And it's for the best because the grabber, Ethan Hawke, is waiting for him behind a corner at the top of the stairs. And it's just scary the way that this is filmed and the way that it plays out. And that's all I'll say about this particular part. I don't like to spoil things. That whole segment of the film, it's very brief, but damn dude, it just paints a different picture of Ethan Hawke and his ability to portray a different sort of character. And I was scared. This movie has a lot of layers, and that one scene alone just really did it. This leads me to one of my complaints. The calls. I know Scott Derrickson has a style going back to Sinister, and I give him props for the way that he makes his movies. I know it's a basis for this movie, but I didn't need to see any ghostly children to match with the voices of the calls that Finn is getting on the black phone.
Who are you?
But I understand I'm not an entire audience and I'm not the only one being aimed to please here, so I have to respect that, but I think the point could have been made perfectly fine without having to take the time and energy to focus on all of these dead kids on top of what was going on with the black phone itself. But that's just me, that's just an opinion. And while the grabber was scary, and I know a motive and a backstory is not always necessary or appropriate, I would have loved to know a tiny bit more about our adversary. Why was he doing this? Why was he kidnapping kids? What led him down this dark road? And I'm wondering if this was covered in the short story. I can bet that since this movie has raked in so much money at the box office, that there's probably going to be a prequel or a sequel. I guess we'll see. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed the black phone and everything it had to offer me. And on Stanny Stab-O-Meter, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stabs. And I think that's well deserved. It had me from the beginning. I really dug the Seven meets Silence of the Lambs mixed with it melded with Stand By Me vibes. You can tell that Joe Hill is definitely an offspring of Stephen King, and that's not a bad thing. And even though I didn't get everything that I wanted from the villain, I got enough, and it kept me wanting more, and I guess that's the point at the end of the day. So what do you think, guys? Have you seen The Black Phone? Do you plan on watching The Black Phone? Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I am on Instagram, I am on Twitter, and I am on TikTok. Don't forget to follow me. And you guys, please take this moment to please, I appreciate the support. Also, feel free to go back into the vault, watch my old reviews. They are not going anywhere. I will be back soon. Take care for now, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye!